Hello and welcome to the Leaders of Tomorrow, the only show on Indian television right now where you, the MSME, get center stage to voice your opinions and thoughts. This is ET Now's special daily initiative to give MSMEs and entrepreneurs the opportunity to be front and center on every industry and area that matters to you. Today on the show on Direct Connect, a panel of experts answering your queries, and later on the show featuring Cakesmiths on our Small Giant segment. Vikram, Prabhakar Dalal, pleasure's always having you both here in the studio with us tonight. Let's kick off then with the first question, which is Yogesh Malik has this question for our experts. Yogesh.
I'm working as a financial consultant from last 5 to 6 years. Right now I have wanted to be my own one-man company from established consultancy as a financial consultancy. So what should I do to reach more people, or what I can be getting a more exposure about it?
I do know that when we had you last time on the show, Mr. Dalal, we were speaking about consultants and freelancers. Now, for someone who is a one-man army but wants to expand, maybe I can start with you by asking what you'd advise.
I presume that he is a financial consultant.
Yes.
For individuals who want to make investments, because financial consultant for corporates has a different role to play. So basically, if he wants to expand from a one-man army to a big firm, he should start with roping in somebody who has different skill sets or expertise, and he can bring in his network of clients also, and like that he can expand further.
Vikram, let me maybe tweak that question around a little bit. For someone who's possibly working on their own, employing someone is going to come at a cost. So what would you advise Yogesh then about how to overcome the challenge of expanding and at the same time keeping his cost down?
See, starting with a one-man army and to scale up the business is always a challenge. So therefore, initially, the objective should be to find a business partner. And, of course, the challenge initially is to find customers, and this is a very relationship-oriented business. So ideally, have someone on board who has already some relationships, build a partnership model with the person, and add more people as you go along, as you add some business, and scale up based on number of clients or the sectors that you want to enter. It's just HNI, or whether it's based on maybe corporates, so you could also get into B2B segment in this. So I think depending on how they would like to scale up, they can decide how to add more people.
Yogesh, that's in response to your question. Our next question is from Jitendra Singh. He's the CMD of Ayushi Udyog. Go ahead, Jitendra.
My concern is on the payment we receive through letter of credit. Even after export and submitting the documents to the bank, we get the actual payment credit in our account at least after 3 to 4 weeks. How can this be shortened? That is my main concern.
There is no easy answer to this, and I would like both of you gentlemen to talk about, one, what the scenario is looking like for funding, and two, in response to his specific question, can the credit cycle be shortened?
See, he is getting payment under letter of credit in 3 to 4 weeks, which means that he submits his documents to his bank. The bank forwards those documents to the LC opening bank. After LC opening bank and the importer has confirmed that the documents are in order, then the exporter's bank makes payment to him. That process takes 3 to 4 weeks. The simple solution is he should ask his importer that his bank, importer's bank, should open LC which is confirmed either by Indian bank or some other bank in India, so that he gets payment immediately. But there will be confirmation charges which the Indian bank will levy.
Mr. Dalal has obviously worked in this area, so he knows this much better. But I think I will give you a slightly different perspective on this. There are lots of credit companies now coming into the market and are looking into these kind of segments. In fact, there was a recent announcement by Wisk India as well. They started their trade finance business, basically helping such exporters for such period of financing. And I think there are more and more such options building up, and they should explore such options.
That's in response to your question, Jitendra. Gaurav Mathur has sent us this next question. It's coming to us on social media. You can always write in to us on our page on Facebook if you have any questions and want to reach us directly. Gaurav says that his question is for service-oriented companies who work on manpower as an asset. He says, how do companies look to raise capital, and what should the information memorandum or pitch to bankers and investors look like? Vikram, let me come to you on that.
So, I think there is no cookie cutter approach here, because it all depends on the kinds of investors you're targeting. There will be a different pitch to a strategic investor versus a financial investor, and also it depends on how much capital they're raising. Of course, investors invest in services businesses because typically it's considered as a safe bet. When you invest in a services business, you may not get as much scale in terms of your return, but you may not lose your money also. So in that sense, depending on the nature of the business, what kind of customers they're targeting, is it a area like cybersecurity or artificial intelligence, which are the upcoming areas? If you're doing services in those high-tech areas, of course those are considered as high growth areas. If these are services which are not as high growth, obviously investors will have a different view on that.
Gaurav, trust that answers the question, and thanks for writing in to us on Facebook. Our page is Leaders of Tomorrow on Facebook, and you can always send us your questions there directly. Time for one last question. This is also coming to us on social media. You can tweet at us using the hashtag LOT. And Munish has sent us this, saying most MSMEs work in rural areas but are forced to follow the same set of labor laws as are applicable to large-scale industries. All this increases the cost of production, and MSMEs face a challenge staying competitive. His question: is there any solution as far as this is concerned? Now, I presume that labor laws are the same as far as every industry is concerned, and no matter where you're based. But we were talking about raw material costs earlier and where the subsidy should be given there. Should any sort of leeway be given to companies which are either in the SSI space or in, say, tier 3, tier 4 towns? What would you gentlemen
Well,
suggest?
his concern is valid. Recently, Government of India has announced, I think whether it has been implemented or not has to be checked, but there was some internal circular where the Government of India wants to grant exemption to SMEs for inspections under various labor laws, like you have labor laws for insurance, for Provident Fund, Industrial Disputes Act. There are several inspections which take place. So, the government wants to grant exemption to SMEs for first 3 years from the date of establishment. So, government is seized of the matter, and there is awareness and something is being done about it.
Okay.
In fact, just to add to this, and this is absolutely right, after the Startup India, Stand Up India movement, there has been a lot of focus on, government basically promoting, tell us what not to do. And that part of that is also self-compliance. So lots of issues related to labor laws are related to compliance. So one change which is happening and which has happened to some extent is some of these laws which required inspections, etc., are now being promoted as, why don't you do self-compliance and let us know if there are any issues. So I think that is actually going to help companies like these.
All right, that's in response to your question, Manish, and that wraps up then this episode. Thank you, gentlemen, both very much for being here tonight. On that note, it's time for a break. When we come back, we'll feature Cakesmiths on our Small Giant segment. Welcome back. You're with us here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight we're bringing you Cakesmiths on our Small Giant segment. Art through food is booming in cities across India, and Mumbai has definitely kept pace with this trend. Wisk by Cakesmiths is a state-of-art culinary school that's helping those passionate about food convert this art into a business. Anshua Banerjee attended a Wisk workshop herself to find out more. This is a special food feature. Take a look.
Baking is an art, and being a professional pastry chef is the dream of many. Sensing a strong demand for baking studios in Mumbai, Vrinda Jatia took the entrepreneurial lead and launched Cakesmiths in 2014. Cakesmiths is an avant-garde studio equipped with professional ranged appliances and a modernistic interior selling high-quality baking supplies across the globe. Even though you're from a business family, I believe that nothing prepares one to face the practical challenges one faced to open a new startup. So what was your initial inspiration behind Cakesmiths?
Initially, I was inspired simply because I wanted to bake a cake and I couldn't find quality supplies. That led to, the curious nature that I have. I started doing a lot of research into where it's available, why is it not available, who's got it, who's selling it, where to go, where to buy. The simple questions that everyone goes through when they, I guess I didn't realize I was doing market research at that point. But then I think down the road something clicked, and I said, this is something that is there available all over the world. Food, maybe cakes and pastries is not indigenous to us, but food definitely is. And there are always advancements in the technology used to produce food, be it a simple baking tin or even the baking paper. Engineering is improving all of those items on a daily basis. So I started selling all of the products. I scouted the world, imported a lot of the products, and then opened up Cakesmiths to sell high quality. It's never been all about price, it's always been about quality. That being there, I had to put together, a detailed plan, and something as removed from a family business, getting into selling tools and equipment, and then later on starting an education part of it. It was difficult. It wasn't as simple as, please give me some X amount of money. I had to, of course, show the viability of it, which was difficult because it was unorganized. It's getting more organized. I'm talking specifically about selling small scale equipment. Speaking of this region where we're located right now, for example, Kalagora, Kolaba, Fort. There is one big famous market, Crawford Market, and everyone knows, now the government is changing things, but earlier on, say 2, 3, even 5 years earlier, you wouldn't get a bill for what you're buying. There's no organized way of dealing with it. You don't know if you'll get the same product if you go tomorrow.
Vrinda, you've been a food enthusiast. So what was it that led you to believe that there was a market for a company like Cakesmiths?
I have been a food enthusiast since the time I could even talk, probably, and I guess most of it was driven by visuals, just visuals. It's not just, it's tastes, flavors, even visuals. Food can be made by anyone. I'm going to quote that movie, Ratatouille. Anyone can cook, really, anyone can cook, but not everyone can present themselves. So I consider food to be an expression of someone's creativity, and using that, understanding that it's not limited to where you've been educated or how much income you have. There is absolutely no barrier. Everyone eats food. And everyone is creative in a sense. Everyone, when you're hungry, even the world's worst cook will put something together for themselves. So that there is a market for it. If there are humans alive and eating, then there will be a market for food. Cakesmiths is different because it provides the tools and equipment. It's got a sensibility of quality to it. For example, our baking paper, you can reuse it 5 times. It'll withstand temperature up to 240 degrees. What else? The silicone molds that we sell, it's got 7 hours of thermal testing. You buy one, it'll last you a lifetime. So we've really gone on to figure out, and there is a market, people who are quality conscious for that.
Has the food industry experienced a wave of technology and innovation at all? And how important is it to upgrade your skill set to stay competitive in this business?
I guess the Indian market currently for equipment is it really runs on imports. The ones who are manufacturing have just begun for these kind of items. So the imported items already have a big brand name because they've been in the market, in the global market for X number of years. So in terms of that, they are already on the innovation front. Very few companies are right now sitting and engineering a couple of equipments in India, which could match up to what's being sold internationally. Personally, in terms of education, we're very different from any other institute. So we don't really have a direct competition because we are catering to the kind of individual who wants to learn for the sheer joy of learning and then turn it into a business. The same go with the tools that we sell. It's geared so that you get maximum performance from minimum investment over a period of time. So for competition, to keep myself abreast with it or even ahead of it, I constantly research different products every now and then. We manufactured a lot of things that we couldn't find, something as simple as, realize that a lot of, this is specifically for women because they do cake baking at home. And they have these round tins and square tins and all of that. I mean, it's something as simple as getting a pre-cut baking paper saves them a whole lot of time. So like, okay, let's just do that and give them the highest quality baking paper possible.
In addition to stocking products for the e-commerce store, the company also recently launched Wisk, a pastry school where students can enroll for programs and join courses of their choosing.
So how did you come up with this concept of Wisk Baking School, and how is this different from any other hospitality institutes?
Wisk is very unique because it's an amalgamation of a casual short-term recreational class and an institute level curriculum. So it really caters to the kind of person that wants to start their own venture or is really interested in the technical learning to a scale where they're not going to sit and climb up the rungs of the hospitality, what do you call, the pipeline, they're not going to start at the back of the kitchen, be a commie and all of that. We do offer programs that equip someone to do that. So if there are X number of courses to be learned, we cover all of them. But it's done in a format that is flexible in timing, in commitment, in price point. So the individual ends up learning a lot faster and cheaper than investing in a whole-time hospitality education. Furthermore, we divided it up subject-wise. So if I'm, if I have a cake business, a bakery, and I want to add breads to my line, I can come and just do breads from module 1 till the advanced 10. And if I want to add chocolates, I could do the same thing for that.
So your company Cakesmith has so many paths, from a baking studio to delivering baking machinery. So I'm curious to know that how do you handle so many divisions?
As I said, we look at it as a business as a whole. So for example, it's not really compartmentalized. Yes, maybe for bookkeeping it has to be, but when we function, the team is multifaceted. My team, I'm very proud to say that they're definitely keen attention to detail, and we manage it in a way that when someone comes in, you look at the holistic need. Do they need education? Do they need advice? Do they need just a pep talk? What do they need? And that's how all divisions come together, all the business streams come together, and it functions as one big unit. So it's not, we don't really, sometimes we feel like a bunch of octopuses, working with 8 things, 10 things at one time, but it all works out for the best of the customer.
So I understand that Wisk and Cakesmiths stand parallel to each other. So which one of them is a more profitable business?
Wisk was found 2 years later, but we've been focusing a lot more on Wisk because education is something that provides a lot more value. In the long term, people will come back and they buy the products that they want. So the model is very simple. We have the products, we scout them, it takes us months to find the right fit of a product before we want to sell it, before we put it up for sale. Students come in, they learn whatever they need to learn, and we make sure that they go home or they're at least advised to buy the right kind of equipment for their setup. So we even do consulting projects where people come in and they're like, okay, set up our kitchen for us and help us figure that out. So they know they're coming in with a quality, they're getting a, something that will set them up for long term. So right now our focus is mainly on Wisk, on getting the education out there, getting people to understand that it's just the joy of cooking or baking, and it's nothing more than that. It doesn't have to be, I feel a lot of students come in saying that they want to become celebrity chefs, and they put that undue pressure on themselves. And here we try to teach them to reconnect, if you're creative enough, someone is going to realize your art, and then, overnight you're going to feel like you're a celebrity chef. So that's that's the way it's done. You can't just say I want to be and then you don't become, you have to work for it. So that's right now Wisk is definitely dominating, and Cakesmiths is backup support. So that is the model that we're following.
Vrinda, as we come to the end of this conversation, we really want to know that beyond the professional sense of accomplishment, what is that one personal satisfaction which comes with the job?
The most gratifying thing for me was when I heard a testimonial by a customer saying that Wisk is a place that teaches a man to fish. So that was very, very gratifying for me, because being a female entrepreneur myself, it's very close to my heart to get women to start doing things for themselves, Maybe they don't want to join the workforce, and I'm not saying the target audience is not predominantly women. We get a lot of men in here as well. But since there is a majority of women who are, stereotypically maybe interested in cooking and in the home sciences, so to say, it's very great when they come in and they learn something and they're dying to start their home business, and that is the sense of personal accomplishment that I feel.
Cakesmiths is concerned with the content of baking, of sensitizing the enthusiastic, small-scale professional and even the amateur Indian baker to the artfulness of the craft. Vrinda is currently looking to expand Cakesmiths and Wisk to other cities in India and create awareness around the hot cuisine space.
With that completely out of time, then on this episode of The Leaders of Tomorrow, if you have anything that you'd like to say to us, you can write in at leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com. You can reach us on social media using the hashtag LOT on Twitter, or tweet at me personally at Sunanda_J, or reach us on Facebook on our Facebook page, Leaders of Tomorrow, or you can call us on that number you see on your screen. We love hearing from you, so keep those responses coming in. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.